Hi there, welcome to Chainlink Wyckoff Technical Analysis session. If you're new to my sessions, here are the 3 key takeaways you can expect from the session. So let's start with the weekly chart of Chainlink. This week's candle, I would say it pretty much confirmed that it has got into the same level that we had our last preliminary support back in February this year. So not very far back in history, just the same year. So currently the price is trading between the red key level of $13.10 and $15.20 orange key level. Okay, so that's where the accumulation, most part of it happened during March all the way till July this year. So for those roughly 3.5 months, close to 4 months, that the price most of the time, other than the selling climax and the second test, also the automatic rally, those 3 points, you can see all the candlesticks are basically between these 2 key levels. If this time it's going to happen the same, essentially we are just seeing the start of getting towards the low. So there's still time for that to develop. Last time it took 4 weeks from the entry to this zone, before we actually see the selling climax. If we count that, this week, 4 weeks from now, that's getting very close to almost Christmas, around mid-December to Christmas time. Okay, not saying it's going to happen exactly the same, but here, from the preliminary support to the selling climax, which was at a different level back in summer 2024, it took about 2-3 weeks time. Sometimes it takes quicker, sometimes it takes longer time, depending on how the general market condition is. All right, and we have this yellow trend line as well. So previously I was talking about from the spring back in summer 2023 through these summer dip in 2024, and then April this year, June this year, there is a higher and higher low trend, only broken by the October 10th event. So assuming that's an outlier event, and we exclude that for now, okay? If this time the selling climax comes down and actually gets to a point that's lower than this yellow trend line, then I can wipe this out, because if this trend line continues, that means the selling climax will end up somewhere higher than the selling climax back in spring this year. So very soon, in a few weeks time, we'll be able to find out, because this line will just get higher and higher. The longer it takes for the selling climax to show up and eventually stops above that line, the clearer it is that the accumulation is probably happening at a higher level. Alright, so this wedge with the lower highs and higher lows pointing towards middle of 2027, I don't think it means a lot, just personal curiosity with this declining peak trend. I'm just putting it here to show you and discuss with you and keep track with you if that really happens in such a way that Chainlink trades along this narrower and narrower wedge for the next 1.5 years. That would be very interesting. What's going to happen in the end when we get to that point? Okay, hope you'll walk with me towards that time, unless it breaks towards the downside sooner. Alright, then we'll have a declining trend for peaks, and if that happens, similar to some other altcoins that I've shared, we don't hope to see that happen, because that's a declining return of your investment, right? If you're not going in and out, you're being a diamond hand. If the peaks get lower and lower and lower, essentially the percentage gain for you it's getting lower and lower and lower. Alright, just as simple as that. That's why I've got two purposes with these lines drawn here. Okay, so while we're expecting for the low to review, there may be intermediate bounces like between when it can bounce off from the red, much like what happened here with a little bit of horizontal trading during March this year before it gets to the selling climax. So sometimes it's consecutive red candles down, sometimes there can be horizontal sideways trading. Let's get to the daily time frame and see what additional information is telling us. So this trend continues, and assuming we're going through also the early stage of accumulation, we haven't seen the selling climax yet. That's assuming that's also a sign of weakness, same as the one that we had in August, just 3 months ago. Okay, if the same accumulation level happens, similar to what happened in June, around the red key level of $13.10, we are not too far from that now. So there is a possibility, I'm not going to lie to you, that the preliminary support happened somewhere along the beginning of this month, and we might have seen the selling climax. It's not a certain thing yet, okay? Because I have to see what's going to develop in the next few days. Currently, it's still fluctuating around this level. It climbed up. We can say that's an automatic rally, but like I said, it's still developing, so it's not 100% sure thing. If it continues with this downtrend and drops to a level similar to what we had last time, just a few months back, where both selling climaxes ended up lower than the red key level. That's why I'm not declaring we've seen the selling climax yet, because back in June and March this year, this climaxes were below the red key level of $13.10. So I'm still observing, and if you're waiting for a breakout, we're still on the left hand side, meaning the lower half of the downtrend. So it has to first trade towards the right hand side, meaning some sideways trading, before it can reach one of these triangles. If it successfully climbs back, like the previous few days, back to the orange or even above the white line. So these two time points, one points to the first week of December, the other points to mid-December, and eventually the red key level points to sometime after Christmas. So these three time points are the ones that are the potential breakout or trend changing opportunities for Chainlink. Alright, so this seeking the bottom is still continuing. I don't think this is the automatic rally. Alright, it is probably just another LPSY. So I've covered the time points, the key levels, the Wyckoff stages. So thanks for joining me for this Chainlink section. See you in the next one.